Hi there. Welcome to the Jeff Adams Music Channel. This is Ye Old Indie Dude, episode number 17. This is a series where I speak to motivation and inspiration for the creative individual, sort of a primer as to methods of self-understanding, allowing our own creativity to reveal our greater selves. My name is Jeff Adams. I'm a singer-songwriter, musician, poet, independent recording artist, publisher, and producer for Bucketstomp Productions. Feel free to follow me on Instagram or Twitter. Basically try to stay current on as many platforms as possible, though there seem to be too many to keep track of nowadays. If you're looking for any unique holiday shopping ideas, please check out my music merch catalog with official merchandise for Jeff Adams Music. My music, of course. It's just that, it's just the name of the shop, Jeff Adams Music. I'm not trying to be one of those people whom refer to ourselves in the third person. Also, there's original and interesting designs, artistic pieces, and yes, there's even stickers. So please be sure to check that out. I'll put a link to my little shop down in the description. Today, I wanted to discuss the topics of copyright and royalties. For many people, these topics can be fairly confusing because of the terminology. There are levels to rights and different types of royalties. I'll briefly touch on each of these, with links below I'll include to help you reach your registration goals. Of course, I'll address this topic as it pertains to music, as this is my background. I put together this material for informational purposes only. It's not intended to give legal or accounting advice. I strongly encourage you to research further, as these matters will pertain to your own creative situation. Laws are created by way of legislation, interpretation, and precedents. Seeking counsel from an entertainment attorney or an intellectual property lawyer, if this is appropriate for you, is also an excellent idea. That being said, the law in regards to copyright is far from perfect. It's been evolving essentially along each level of technological innovation and has missed some distinctions along the way. Some of the laws are still a little antiquated based on former popular modes of listening to music. Laws regarding what's protected under copyright registration have been changing more since the advent of and popularity of the internet and streaming services. They've changed the dynamic in which we receive media. In a 100-year time span, we went from listening to pre-recorded music on a giant contraption that played music on a cylinder, just prior to the system of vinyl discs and phonographs. Now, we're able to download or stream nearly anything we can imagine at any time we can imagine it. So, artists have had to adapt along the way as laws have changed over time to align more with technological advances. But did they change for the better? It's never been easy for an artist. Some may argue that it's easier in this day and age than ever before for a musical artist to create, record, distribute, and promote their work. But what does that matter if the artist is only getting paid 0.0003 cents per stream on varying platforms? Okay, so you've written a song, and you wonder what should happen next. There's wording in the 1976 Copyright Act, and that's pertaining to U.S. copyright law, that indicates that upon your creation of a song, music, melody, and lyrics, a copyright is automatically established. You own what you create. Of course, legally, that's just the starting point. The laws are many and diverse. I'll put links in the description in more depth legal interpretations of terms as they pertain to copyright protection. I recommend you peruse those links. There's only so much detail I can cover about it in one video, of course. There's a lot of information. I could certainly talk about each aspect further in future videos if you'd like. But in many aspects of rights registration, it'll depend upon your individual circumstances. Copyright itself is a form of protection provided by the laws of the United States to the authors of original works of authorship, including literary, dramatic, musical, artistic, architectural, and certain other intellectual works. So what you create then is called your intellectual property. This protection is available to both published and unpublished works. Material in the public domain is intellectual property that does not come under copyright laws, so it's allowed to be freely used. Nearly all work before the 20th century is not copyrighted. So yes, that would be the next step. Take your established song that you own and register the rights. This is a process that was very arduous and time-consuming in times past. A lot of paperwork, signatures, details, corrections, notarized correspondences, etc. These days it's been streamlined to a simple online process for copyright registration through copyright.gov. There's a fee involved with each type of registration. It's a lot less confusing than it used to be, but pay careful attention to how you fill out the form. For the indie artist, there are a few options to consider, one of which is pre-registration. You'd want to do this prior to publishing in order to protect your work in the publishing process. Since there are fees involved in each step, I prefer personally to release albums as collective works more often than a series of single release registrations or EPs, because it works out to be cheaper. If you're paying a fee, well, you get the idea. The completion of the application will require information about the publication, so pre-register before release, then release, then complete the application with the appropriate information. The date of the registration will be effective as of the application date retroactively. Once you complete the application with the Library of Congress for your copyright registration, if it's thoroughly and properly filled out, it'll take anywhere from 3 to 9 months. These days, an indie artist could also be their own publisher, of course, which is a nice attribute, but as a publishing songwriter, it takes your state of accountability for your work to the next level. I've created a production entity myself, Bucketstomp Productions, for my artistic creations in order to be more careful, so I can account for publishing royalties. One of the reasons, and while it's certainly not necessary to do this sort of thing, I've found it to be helpful in ensuring splits are correctly attributed. Which brings us to the next step. Why are we doing all this? That which you create is referred to as your intellectual property. You want to make sure that you register your material to identify it as distinctly yours, and to protect your rights in regards to royalties you can expect through streams and purchases. Registering with a performance rights organization is the next step. These are commonly referred to as PROs. Beyond regular streaming royalties, which equates to old-fashioned sales data, there's other types of royalties. Main PROs in the United States are ASCAP and BMI. Registration with either, there are others throughout the world and that you can associate with. Registration comes with a one-time membership fee. Once registered with the PRO of your choice, you'd have to go through the process of adding your material to their database. The purpose of this is a matter of royalties collection for public performance rights. So if your material is played on TV, radio, in clubs, restaurants, on websites, or other broadcasting systems, a PRO will collect these royalties on your behalf. If you've already been through this journey, you know that it's far from over. Notice the PRO delineates the artist from the publisher. The publisher gets 50% of the performance royalties. You would have to make this clear as an indie when you sign up for a PRO. When you register a song with a PRO, if you're your own publisher, because there's different memberships for artists and publishers. Okay, so you wrote the song, you own the rights, you pre-registered the song, you recorded the song, you released the song, you registered the song, and you chose a PRO. I approach this from the standpoint of mostly releasing material I worked on with no assistance. With others involved, it just means greater accountability. For example, though the laws fluctuate as to any standard at the moment, only fair to offer a split of the percentage of certain royalties with those who contribute to the sound recording. Of course, if an additional writer is involved, you'd want to indicate that as well. But if you're an indie artist and if you've produced your own content and created your own recording, the end result, before it's published, is after having been mastered, as they say. This is significant. This results in a master recording. It pertains to the next step. You want to make sure you receive appropriate royalties for anyone being allowed to use copies of your master recording, which is any distribution that's sourced from your material, unless otherwise contractually stipulated. You want to pay attention to the fine print of everything. For this type of royalty collection, you'll want to register through Sound Exchange, who collects digital performance royalties generated by master recordings on behalf of master recordings owners and performers. If you have heard this concept before, there's a reason for it. Make sure you own your own masters. There is a one-time fee associated with sound exchange too. Everything costs. Then, another aspect of royalties. Those that are generated from the broadcast and streaming of compositions are considered mechanical royalties. Some distributors will collect these royalties on your behalf. For those that don't, and for a more comprehensive royalties collection by way of agreements with international PROs, you'll want to also register with Songtrust, who is a publishing administration company. I'll leave the link to that down below. To go into all the laws and terminology pertaining to copyright could take an entire episode or a series of episodes in and of itself. It's a lot more detail and understanding of the laws of behind the information I've provided in this short video. I provided extensive links for your reference, but not only in understanding the history and development of copyright law over the last 100 years, but links to where you can register your own material if you'd like. If you found any material or information presented in this video helpful, please be sure and press the like button. If you haven't had a chance to, please be sure and subscribe. Be sure and press the bell icon to be notified when new material is uploaded. In addition to this series, I also post quite a bit of new original music, live performances, including the weekly series I call Jeff Adams Indie Live, and also special presentations. This time of year, I do a few holiday specials on here too. Just wanted to give a special shout out. This video was made possible by a reference in the comments based on a comment that I've made on a previous video from Tim at Temporal MIx Productions. So I'll put a link down to him down below, and I just wanted to say thanks, Tim, for the suggestion. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.